Hello, so today we'll be talking about the book Classroom Management by Jim Burke. The book is broken up into 5 sections. We have classroom management, effective instruction, learning for all or differentiation, positive discipline, and then troubleshooting. So we'll start at classroom management. One of the points that he makes is that we want to create a positive first impression, and we can do so by establishing, communicating, and applying clear expectations regarding behavior, culture, policies, and procedures. And the sooner we do this at the beginning of the year, the better and the smoother the class will go for the rest of the year. Also maintaining a positive and productive relationship with all students. And we have to take the lead in establishing and maintaining a professional and positive relationship with our students because as Jim talks about in this book, students don't often know how to establish that kind of relationship with their teachers. So we kind of have to take the lead in that. And then we want to use the walls to educate, communicate, and celebrate. So using the wall space in our classroom to teach and reinforce key content or skills, showcasing student work, and then displaying essential administrative information. And then finally, we want to assign seats based on individual and instructional needs. And we want to keep in mind the safety and efficiency and productivity of our students here. Next, we're going to talk about effective instruction. One component to having an effective instruction is beginning the period efficiently. So you want to make sure that you're setting the tone for the day by having a flexible but structured routine to start the class every day. So this could be a warm-up question or a bell ringer. However you start the class every day, you want to keep it kind of consistent so that the students know exactly what to expect when they're walking into your classroom. That way they'll settle down quicker and there's less anxiety for them. They're not walking in here having no idea what to expect that day. We also want to end the period productively. And even though we don't have a lot of time, it's really a 3 to 5 minute window at most to ending the class. We want to review and conclude the day's lesson. We want to make sure that the students understand what the homework is and then also how to do it. And then finally, we want to prepare them for the next day's lesson. Another component to effective instruction is providing a disciplined and supportive classroom environment. And we can do so by promoting a strong work ethic, by establishing and maintaining high expectations for all students on all assignments, and in fostering a spirit of collaboration and support within the classroom. And finally, we need to make sure we're managing group instruction productively. Group instruction and group activities can be very helpful and very effective for instruction, but we want to make sure we're mindful of the group size and the type of activity that we're doing and making sure that that's appropriate for the desired learning outcome. All right, the next section is all about differentiation called Learning for All. First, we want to make sure we're meeting the needs of all students because students learn best when they are fully engaged. So that we can do so by teaching through inquiry-based instruction, real-world connections, and collaborative work. We also want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of English language learners by creating a polite, respectful, and collaborative classroom environment. Sometimes students learn best from each other, so having an English language learner sitting next to someone who is also fluent in their language and English could be a very helpful way. And one of the many ways that we can meet the needs of English language learners. And we also want to make sure that we are providing simple and clear instructions for tasks and assignments so that our ELLs can understand what they're supposed to be doing in class. We also want to make sure we're supporting students with special needs by creating a supportive environment in the classroom for your special needs students to thrive in the class with other mainstream students. We can do so by establishing a respectful and safe and collaborative environment. And finally, we want to support students with specific learning disabilities. So there's going to be different learning disabilities like ADHD, or some students might have visual issues or auditory issues. So we want to make sure we're being mindful of specific needs that these students may need and making sure that we're catering to them so that they're still in the best environment to learn what they need to learn. Next section is on positive discipline. First, we want to teach self-discipline and personal responsibility to our students, because really, at the end of the day, students need to know themselves well and know how to manage their work and everything else in life. So we can help students develop self-awareness of their actions, attitudes, and needs. We also want to administer discipline with dignity by addressing student behavior quickly, equitably, and respectfully when we are disciplining them. We also want to communicate policies, procedures, and principles in our syllabus. And the syllabus should include policies and procedures, required materials, teaching philosophy, and other relevant information. And this should be communicated to both students and parents. But that's a really good way to kind of set the guidelines for not only their coursework, but their behavior as well at the beginning of the year or the semester. And finally, we want to establish and maintain an effective approach to discipline. Students should feel that their classroom is safe and secure, predictable and stable, and that someone is in control, and that someone will set appropriate limits and enforce them constantly and fairly so that they can learn to succeed. The last section of the book talks about troubleshooting and some other issues that may come up throughout the year in your classroom. The first troubleshooting issue is assignments, and some problems to watch out for are students who may not be doing all the assigned work, or turning things in incomplete, or submitting work of poor quality, or just not turning their work in. And we want to make sure that when we are addressing this problem that we're not placing blame on the student, but rather asking, like, why are you not doing your work? And then you can troubleshoot from there and work together to figure out a solution to that, whether that may be assigning less, also reevaluating if the work that you're assigning to your students is actually productive or if it's just busy work. The next issue is attendance. Some problems to watch out for could be excused absences for a prolonged period of time, tardies, unexcused absences that are sporadic but persistent, or unexcused tardies that show a pattern of disregard for your class. Oftentimes, though, when you find that students are consistently missing or coming late to class, it could be connected to larger issues such as family difficulties, poverty, or health problems. So it's really important that, again, you're not just getting angry at your student or placing blame on them, but communicating with them and finding out what's going on kind of in their life outside of your classroom. The third troubleshooting issue is record keeping. So there are a lot of record keeping in the classroom. Some of them may be legal, some of them are instructional, or maybe administrative purposes. And making sure that you're staying organized is going to be essential to having a well-functioning classroom. And also keeping in mind that a lot of the information that you're keeping record of may be legal, so you want to make sure you're storing it in a confidential place. Next issue is abuse. Abuse takes form in several forms. It's sexual, it can be physical, verbal, or emotional. It can be between students. It could be something like bullying, or it could be students experiencing abuse at home or somewhere outside of the classroom. But you want to make sure that you're dealing with this in an appropriate and a timely manner, making sure you're consulting administration when needed, and making sure that you're getting immediate help if something serious is happening or if you suspect that there's abuse happening at their home. The next troubleshooting issue is cheating. Some problems to watch out for are homework or papers that could be copied from a classmate, cheating on exams, or plagiarism. And we want to make sure we're setting clear definition for what cheating and plagiarism is, and that we're communicating to our students what the consequences are, and that cheating is a serious thing, and that we will not be tolerating that whatsoever. Number 6 is materials and equipment. And especially in this time where textbooks are expensive, and we have all these different technology and technological things now, we want to make sure that we're paying attention to the environment that the students are working in. Not all technology is useful, it could be distracting. So you want to be mindful of what kind of items you're bringing into the classroom. And then also we want to make sure that if we're checking out materials to specific students, that we're holding them personally accountable, and reminding them that they have to bring those things back, and also making sure that that we're not checking out items to students if they can't afford to replace it if something goes wrong, if they break it or something. The next issue is field trips, and field trips can be within the school or it can be off campus. It could be something as simple as going to the library for research or labs for experiments. It can of course be an off-campus trip as well, but we want to make sure that we are preparing as much as we can, making sure that we have all the materials prepared, we're reviewing where you're going, how you're going to get there and why, establishing clear expectations on what to bring and how to act with your students, and also communicating with their parents on what you'll be doing for that field trip. But taking a large group of students can have some legal, logistical, or administrative consequences if it's not planned properly. So you want to make sure that you are planning ahead to make sure that everything is going to go smoothly for a successful and safe class outing. Our next topic at hand is going to be substitutes. If for some reason you're not going to be in a classroom and you get a sub, you want to make sure that you're keeping everyone, both the students and the sub, as informed as possible. So if you know that you're going to be missing ahead of time, let your students know and make sure you're establishing very clear expectations for how they're going to behave in that class. And then also making sure the sub is informed of where the students are sitting, how they're expected to behave, and making sure you're providing the sub with a very detailed lesson plan for the day so that he or she knows exactly what to do with their class. Okay, next, in case of emergencies, so there could be many different kinds of emergencies, like a medical emergency, mental, environmental, natural, or even a terrorist emergency. And you want to make sure that you're nice and prepared for any kind of thing that comes up. And making sure that you have procedures posted up on the board, making sure that you're staying calm, and assigning specific roles to students if necessary, but most importantly, maintaining calm during any crisis so that you can set the tone and so that you don't spread your fear to the students. And finally, conferences. So depending on the purpose and the situation, a conference concerning a student could be with a parent or with the student, admins, counselors, so on and so forth. But conferences should always be a way to work together to improve student performance. And you want to work with your parents or whoever that you're meeting with, and you want to treat them as partners or members of a team that exists to help the student succeed in life. Make sure that you're nice and prepared for the conference, that you're confident, and that you know where you want or what you want to talk about and where you want to take the conversation to. If you are meeting with a parent, make sure you're conveying to them that you're there to help and not to punish or blame. And that concludes my overview for Jim Burke's classroom management. Thanks.